Welcome one and all to part 2 of my little series of games with the greatest stories. And we're going to kick off with one of my top 10 favourite games of all time, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Let's face it, when it comes to pirates there's two undisputable truths. Pirate games are cool, and Black Flag is the best pirate game ever. Edward Kenway's story from, let's face it, accidental assassin to getting fully involved in the battle against the Templars is fantastic. You meet a plethora of famous pirates along the way, including the infamous Blackbeard himself. And it is just a fantastic game from start to finish. They took the best thing from Assassin's Creed 3, which was the ship combat, and made an entire game of it. There's a reason that this is lauded by many as the best Assassin's Creed ever, even though it did break away from the traditional formula. It's even got sea shanties before people on TikTok made them annoying. If you haven't played this game by now, I strongly suggest you give it a chance, even if you think maybe the Assassin's Creed franchise might not be for you. This is very much its own thing, and I still think that anybody who likes pirates could enjoy it. I did from start to finish. I've replayed it many times. I'm always finding new things on the islands, and the story itself very captivating. And it does spread, of course, with side missions as you expect from an Ubisoft open world game, from messages in a bottle to treasure maps and all sorts of good things. And once you've finished it, if you still want some more pirate action, don't forget Rogue, very underrated Assassin's Creed game.
Send them to hell!
Titanfall 2. After the first game was criticised for having no single player campaign at all, boy oh boy did they deliver with this one. It's a shame they released the game in between Call of Duty and Battlefield's releases that year, which unfortunately condemned it not to have a sequel. But it's still worth picking up because, whilst the multiplayer I doubt is used by many anymore, the campaign is, and always will be, absolutely superb. One of the best short campaigns at around 6 hours you're likely to come across. The relationship between the pilot and the mech is a joy to behold and watch grow, and you do feel your own affection towards it growing as well. They got the mechanics absolutely spot on, where you can go from, of course, piloting the giant mechanoid machine and then pop out when you wish and just be the pilot on foot working in tandem with it. Yes, of course, in the story there's certain bits where you're forced to do one or the other, but in a lot of the level you get to choose and approach it how you wish. They play very differently, so you get a good feel for the difference. It's not just switching for the sake of it. All in all, it's exceptionally enjoyable, and considering you can pick this up now physically for pennies, I don't know how much it is to download, but I can't imagine it's much digitally, it's well worth picking up. Perhaps if the devs had put their eggs in the basket of the single player campaign, maybe made it a bit longer, it would have been a success. But of course they were chasing those live service big bucks, which is a problem with a lot of games. But hey, that's a rant for a different video.
Trust me.
Sam & Max Save the World. Truthfully, you could go for any game in this series, and the majority of them are now available on modern consoles digitally. I'd imagine they're all pretty much available on PC. I've just said Save the World because it's the most recent one I've played. I love this duo. It's a bit of a traditional point and click adventure, so if you're not into that, it could not be for you, but I'd still urge you to at least play a demo because it's hilarious. It's a world full of silliness that will suck you in very, very quickly as you guide the vigilante private police force in all sorts of locations seeking justice. You've got Sam's brawn and sometimes misplaced sense of righteousness, and then you've got Max's uninhibited, sometimes dangerous impulses. All the way through this game, the puzzles are bonkers, but they start to make sense as soon as you immerse yourself in the world, and it is one of the best point and click games that I've played. Love this series, love to laugh. There's not enough funny games out there.
Neighbors calling 911.
The best kind!
I guess we should get back to work.
Not yet. I'm still on my break. Okay, now.
From Sam & Max's silliness, we go to a supernatural sci-fi epic. In Beyond, Two Souls. Quantic Dream are masters of their craft, and this definitely shows off all their skills. It's a great example of their work in interactive storytelling, and one I consider not to be missed. The mechanic of switching between Jodie, the human, and the entity known as Aiden is fairly unique. It definitely adds an extra layer to the game, and you get the expected quick time events and cutscenes as well, which you have to have for this sort of game. It's just something you need. It's got a good stellar cast headlined by Willem Dafoe. It looks absolutely stunning, and it's got a plot which will keep you guessing as it twists and turns all its way through the game. If you like these interactive storytelling games, definitely give this one a go, and if you haven't played Quantic Dream's other big hit masterpiece, Heavy Rain, give that a go too. This Beyond Two Souls feels like it's got a little bit more action in it to me, but I'll let you be the judge. They're both superb, some of the finest examples of this type of game, purely because the stories, the voice acting, everything's just done so well. Have you played these yourself? Let me know if you agree with me in the comments.
Tell them to leave me the fuck alone, because next time, I'll kill everyone.
Alan Wake 2. One of last year's big hits. Lauded, among other things, as one of the best looking games released, it's also got by far and away one of the best stories. I do think you should play the first one first to get the full impact and get everything possible out of this story. However, it's not 100% necessary, and you can just play this one and you'll know fully what's going on and still enjoy yourself, but it's just a little tip from me. Whereas the first one was more of a psychological thriller, this one goes full survival horror. We pick up with our hero, Alan Wake, 13 years after the last game, which is, coincidentally, how long it's been since the last game was released. I won't say what happened at the end because I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's worth knowing, and it does tell you at the beginning if you haven't played it. You've got the same light mechanics where you use that to weaken and hurt the enemies. You've got two protagonists this time, both Alan Wake and FBI agent Saga Anderson. You get to play as them both, and it has just got a very clever plot. Alan Wake's character is that of a writer of novels, and the plot of this game would easily be in a best-selling novel, at least in my opinion. It's just very cleverly done. You'll know what I mean if you play it.
Back home, since I fell down this rabbit hole.
Now we turn to Killer Frequency. This is a first-person horror adventure game with some elements of comedy horror in it as well. You're set in 1987 in a small town, and you play the part of Forrest Nash, once a former big shot DJ, now fallen on hard times and forced to work at the local radio station in the small town of Gallows Creek. If only you knew when you went to work that day that instead of just going through the motions of your job, you'd be matching wits with the Whistling Man serial killer. It's your job to take calls from victims and help to tell them how to escape. You do this by solving puzzles, and you can get clues and information around the radio station studio. The survival of the victims is firmly in your control. Basically, are you good enough to help them escape, or are you going to fail them and let them die? Really, really engrossing story. It's almost like a reverse escape room. This is another very, very cleverly done game.
Talk to me, Murphy. What's wrong?
Oh, the killer got me, man.
We've got a plan, but we can't agree on who should do what.
You want me to be the tiebreaker?
Exactly. We'll need someone on the roof. It's gonna be a hard climb.
Heather's got this.
Mafia 2. I could have easily put the first Mafia on here, especially because of the superb remaster it got, but I've gone with 2 because I like it just about 1% more. Set between 1945 and 1951, and great attention to detail has gone into the world and what's in it, with things such as the cars, the clothes, and even the weapons. You take the role of Vito, an Italian-American war veteran, returned home, and, well, with not many options in life, so you turn to the mob. You start climbing the ladder and going through it from start to finish. Seeing the character's evolution is actually one of the best parts of the game. It's open world with some linear style missions. I want to say very firmly this is not a GTA clone. It's very much its own thing. It's very story focused, which is why it's on this list, because it's done such a good job. If you like gangster films and games, open world games, action games, whatever, I think this is a game that could be enjoyed by pretty much anybody. And it's readily available whether you get it as the 7th gen original, the remaster, or get it as part of the Mafia trilogy set, so you get the superb first one as well. It's just a shame they couldn't repeat the magic a third time with the third entry in the trilogy, because that one is a bit disappointing compared to the first two.
Leather.
Good and Evil. We have been promised a sequel to this 6th generation gem for about 16 years now, which makes you think it might not happen. But rather than focus and moan about that, let's celebrate how good the first game still is to this day. This mostly open world game is a mashup of all good things gaming, with combat to puzzles to exploration to stealth to vehicle combat. It's got everything good in one package. The very detailed plot is still absolutely amazing, particularly because of the NPCs you meet along the way. You grow attached to these characters, you want to learn about them, you want to see their story develop alongside your own. It is definitely a masterclass in side characters and making you care about them. The deep sci-fi world tells its own story as you encounter corruption all along the way. Thankfully, you're equipped to help there. I love this game. It really sets itself up and keeps its finger on the pulse of the action from start to finish. It's one of those games I cannot believe has not had a remaster by now. It's a good job the original still holds up.
The Iris Network is fighting against a threat no one knows exists. If nothing is done, the entire population will be destroyed. Everyone thinks the Alpha sections are here to protect us, but they kidnap 10 people for every one that they save. The Alpha sections know that an uprising of the population would spell catastrophe. And that's exactly what we need to do.
And that brings me to the end of part 2. Part 3 is on its way, along with all sorts of other good things. If you want to press like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video, that helps me out an absolute ton. If you haven't enjoyed the video, shh, I'll try harder next time. See you soon.